You know what? To heck with it. The music was good enough in the previous video. Be fine. Hey everyone, it is time to review a unit that has been, well, I guess, data mined a little while ago, and we've all been kind of waiting for it. So here she is, Summer Elsi. Is she any good? Yes, I think is a pretty good answer. All right, so taking a look at Summer Elsi, what do we got here? Well, first of all, she is a limited time character. She is a water elemental character, and I guess I should say in terms of the limited, we know she's limited for the JP side. I think she's limited for the global side, but it does occur to me that I didn't double check that. So, globalers, apologies if she ended up being not limited for you guys or whatnot. Guess you'll just have to deal with that. But from the JP side, let's take a look at what information we have. So primarily, Gawler is her main job, Paladin is her secondary job, and tertiary is Kotodama wielder. Main weapon is books. You can equip hat, cloth, and accessories. And here we get a look at her TMR. A accessory 280 HP, 10 defense, 35 magic with a healing ability on it. An AoE heal that is medium with a 210 modifier, 24 TP, and a single cast. Alright, let's just get it out of the way. This ability feels pretty mediocre. I don't think that this is exciting at all. I don't think that this is really necessary. That this is like, this to me devaluates the TMR just because the ability doesn't feel like it really does anything super into what she is doing. She is more of a tank, not a healer, and I guess, emergency heals are always nice, but I'm curious if her AI is even really going to use this, or if it's made for something else. I mean, if it wasn't for the magic stat on the accessory, I think I wouldn't even look twice at this. But even if I don't think I'm gonna look. This is one of those things that you're gonna get if you want this unit, and I think that it is good for a stat for stats. But other than that, I'm less than impressed with the ability on this. I don't know. It just feels like you want other units to heal. Also, considering that water has a great healer, and that's Aaron. All right, but master ability, the usual stuff, but for herself increases her own magic by 15% and her fire resistant by 10%. And before anybody types it into the comment, yes, I know she can hit 107% fire resistance easy. That's not what we're gonna talk about, because as far as I'm concerned, that's not interesting. We knew that Elsi was Summer Elsi was a water type unit. We knew she was going to be naturally good against fire units. To me, it's just not the priority of what we should be talking about. We should be talking about her tough matchups and whether or not they're going to make or break this character. Because a lot of people are super harsh on the water element because of Cloud, Charlotte, Charlotte. And you know what? I'm tired of hearing it. So we're going to just, we know that's a problem. Just get it out of your friggin' system so we can go on and talk about this actual. All right, and unfortunately I did use this character on stream, and it's going to be a little while before the refresh, so I am just going to have to tell you about her stats. But talking about her elemental resistance, she is of course 10% weak to lightning, 20% naturally resistant to fire. Her natural damage resistances are 15 to pierce, 5 to strike, 10% to shooting, and -5% to magic with neutral on slash. So that neutral on slash doesn't exactly bode with the greatest of confidence. In magic, well, I don't know. Yes, there is Saria, but how many times does Saria actually run in like high arena PvP, thing like that? If there isn't a limitation, normally you're using something else. It could be used, but I don't know. I don't think you're really going to be targeting the thunder magic, but other mages will be a little bit strong against this unit. Not too terribly strong, and sword units will have as well. So obviously there is a weakness to this girl, and against piercing units, strike units, and shooting units will be a little bit stronger. That's pretty nice. Alright, she even has a little bit of natural sleep resistance, which is kind of weird, 10%, 50% to confuse resistance, and 50% to slow resistance. All of that is generally pretty nice. Taking a look at her stats, I can tell from the friend build, the level 120 Gumi friend build, that she can get up to about 6,000 HP, and that's a lot of HP for a mage. And considering that this is one of the more tanky mages against other physical units, she's going to be a pain for other physical units. So I do like the amount of HP she has. I think it's pretty strong. From what I remember, her defense stat, she also had a spirit stat too, so there was a little bit of cross build going on there. I think she had 35 defense and roughly about 30 spirit. And thinking about her magic attack with that kind of build as well, with the stats I've already mentioned, she's able to get up to 1400 with Bahamut equipped. So still a really high magic stat with a good amount of HP and defense and spirit. The one thing that I really did notice though when I was testing her out is her speed. Her speed is pretty low. Even, you know, with other things, like if she's on an entire mage team, there's a really good chance that all the other mages are going to move long before she gets a chance to. That is a consideration for a tank, because you want your tank going in first, and if your tank isn't going in first, that could be a problem. It doesn't have any kind of move or jump boost. As a matter of fact, that's kind of what I wish was on her TMR, so she could get ahead of units, so she could soak up some of the damage. On the other hand, maybe you don't want her going in first, because everyone out and their dog out there is already being like, well, I'll just tech in Cloud and Charlotte. And it's like, well, she's hanging back a little bit, and an Earth unit with good mobility and a spear came in first. Well, then the Charlotte's freaking dead, and there isn't really much to talk about. So that's a consideration for sure. Alright, so let's talk about Limit Burst. Her Limit Burst is a sure hit ability. As you can see, it has a large AoE on it. It's basically kind of like Moore's, and it will be a little bit fearsome, because not only is it 100% hit chance, also reduces targets who are hit by it AP by 20. Pretty nasty. 63 AP cost is nothing to scuff at, though. Summer Elsi also does start with a good amount of AP, but 63 AP is a pretty high cost to pay, because I think she starts with about, at level 120, about 113, so a lot of that's going away pretty fast if she's immediately LB. But the LB's good, so maybe that's fine. Losing 20 AP can definitely shut down some units' abilities to attack other units, if you know what I mean. Alright, so we'll start with Kododama to talk about Messenger. She does not have the magic resistance one. She has the damage AoE spread, she has the move to target panel, the confusion ability, the damage with 100% sure hit, the stun ability, and the increased move and jump. The increase in move and jump you may want to run, but again, maybe this unit hanging back a bit and just being a tanky unit, other units are going to have to fight at the end, might be a good strategy for her. Maybe her being sleepy and slow is a good thing, and you just put her as the primary unit that others initially see that think, oh my god, it's a Summer Elsi, haha, I have this unit, and it'll be an easy win, and then, oh shit, Earth unit, bam! Either way, Kododama does bring some stuff to the table that is good, both in attacking capability as well as movement abilities, so that is a strong thing. As for Paladin, she has, increased max HP, which is good because, she has a high amount of HP already. She can do a track blade, which is good for focusing attention on her, potentially off other units. She has Sentinel for a large defense and spirit increase. Not an evade tank, so you don't want that. She has stun in there, and she has a heal, but she also has Immortal Spirit. Single use, but 29 TP will give you a 200% chance to ignore fatal damage itself. Noctis is out there with an ability to circumvent this, but I don't think that's a super big concern. Might be something worth testing in the future, but For now, taking a look at it, Paladin also gives her some strong options. As for her primary job, it's Scholar. If you are familiar about Rule, you will know exactly what this one does. Taking a look at what is the most notable stuff, she does have the evocation boost and the single target resistant for allies. For that's the 36 TP on a pretty large AoE. She can increase water attack also for allies. So great with other water mages, as well as other water units, period. That's all really nice. Taking a look at her, of course, her Rockfall ability, but I think probably something else here. Anyway, that's the large AoE diamond magic attack that absorbs 30% of the damage being done, and when she gets into her EX, that also gets upgraded to reduce the counter on targets for 3 turns. So very useful, very good. She has the beam straight ahead, which has the 220% modifier and decreases healing power by 40. And her big job level 25 is to reduce the physical damage taken by 30% when maxed out for 3 turns for self, and grant protect at 25%. So overall, the two in combination aren't quite as good as I thought, but it's still going to be pretty good against other units, especially other physical units. Might have a hard time killing this girl. I mean, if she runs that buff and then she's already at level 20 and she's got about 6 HP and she also has a spirit, might be a really, really hard unit to kill. I mean, there's a chance, really, that with Immortal Spirit, the enemy gets her down to 1 HP, doesn't have a turn, she gets a turn, uses Rockfall, and she can regen a lot of HP off of that, potentially. That large AoE that absorbs 30% of the damage being done, if she's even hitting for 4,500 HP, that's 1,600 off of each target she's hitting. You can potentially full heal it with 4 targets. So, yeah, I think that it is a much more dangerous and annoying combination. In the same way that I don't think Noctis is an incredibly high damage dealer from my initial testing, I don't think that Summer Elsi is going to be either. I think that she is going to be a really freaking annoying unit to kill. If you don't kill her, and if she Immortal Spirits and she gets a chance to Rockfall, you might be really back to kind of square one, depending on how bad it is. So I think she has the capability of completely shutting out enemies with the combination of abilities she has. It might be the old Austin Powers movie of just like constantly shooting the guy, blowing him up with a rocket launcher and everything, and he just won't die. Why won't you die? That might be Summer Elsi. She can't die. Alright, taking a look at the 2 abilities that she has. She has a Restore CT for herself and decrease activation time. That feels pretty meh. Her other ability is a single target damage ability with 185% modifier that decreases attack by 43%. But I feel like she has enough ability options, so I'm going to say that Scholar subpart, you basically never run that. I think you're going to be running her with either Paladin or Kododama, whether you want just a little bit more movement and a little more attack. But I think I recommended myself. I think the way you want to do it is definitely Paladin, because it just seems pretty strong. But as for her like just talking about her in terms of a build, I think you have to do, this is a unit you have to 120. For that, physical damage reduction ability, sure. But getting her Scholar ability to upgrade to have Spirit Penetration is incredibly important. Nowhere else in her kit does she have any kind of Spirit Penetration whatsoever, and that's potentially really problematic against any kind of magic tank, any kind of tank with a spirit, any kind of spirit stat. I think she's going to have a hard time dealing with it prior to getting her EX. If she has her EX, she does have an upgrade on her activation time reduction that's also giving her a Spirit Penetration, but yeah, that's a problem for sure in her hit, but she can also increase spirit, fire resistance with Kodama. She can, you know, also increase the magic stat with that, or she can defense and HP more with the Paladin support. So there's a lot of different ways that you can actually, you know, build this character in terms of just how much in defense and HP you want versus how much potential offense you have. All right, so talking about this unit, you know, good. And let's just circle back around to the thing I was kind of talking about before, which is team composition. Because everybody has already kind of snap judged of, or a lot of people have already snap judged of just run her with more, run her with Aerith. That's essentially who you want to run this character with, right? I don't think so. I don't think that this is a character you want to run with a pure water mage team. That mono element stuff is really good on like PvE content now on the JP side. It's becoming less and less of a thing in the PvP sphere. I think a lot of the time you're seeing more mixed elements to make it more difficult for people to kind of be able to really fully prepare, because it's very easy to just say, well, more Aerith than Summer Elsi. It's a party. Oh, I have Cloud. I win automatically because I have a thing. Sorry. It's just really not interesting because, yes, Charlotte would essentially shut this character down pretty hard based on initial impression. Okay. Which is why you essentially run any Earth Elemental physical character, because any Charlotte that is tech that hard against magical and making sure that she's good is not going to be that great against physical. And a physical unit will usually just come in and hit her. I mean, AI is AI. That's always going to make or break a lot of people's strategies. But I don't think that's a good reason for discounting this unit. I think that she is one of the tankiest mages. I think that she might be difficult to kill based on kind of initial readings of this character. But I think more than anything, with a proper team combination, like for instance, I was thinking about it earlier today because one of my favorite characters recently is Falm, and I'm running the Lemon Burst so you can see it a couple of times. But Falm is a water ninja and potentially really weak against thunder elemental characters such as Cloud and whatnot. How do you do that? Well, it turns out, you know, on the JP side, looking forward for Globalers, Overin is just really strong right now. He's essentially made his way into a lot of PvP teams and a lot of PvE teams. He is just a powerful character. He has good jumps, good damage, good status effects, everything. He just does everything really, really good. Sticking water elemental characters with an earth elemental character, especially when people have that knee-jerk reaction of just being like, aha, I see it, I can counter it, it's an easy thing for my Cloud, and then there are two earth units that just come in and shut it down. You can run Rule, for example, as well, and that's, you know, not exactly also an easy thing for, you know, fire elemental characters to deal with, because they either have to deal with the earth elemental characters, which are still going to be hitting pretty hard, or a really tanky water character, which is hard. And, you know, maybe they're mixing the two elements, but, you know, right now wind isn't exactly the scariest thing, and maybe Summer Elsi can deal with wind just fine, which just continuing on the things I want to talk about. Well, I understand that the initial thing and the initial high numbers of 107% fire resistance is very much a thing that everybody is kind of focusing in on. I kind of think you want to build Summer Elsi for wind resistance, because that situation, if people are trying to tech against Earth, they're throwing in wind characters. If they have to focus against a water elemental mage who's really good against physical characters such as and 2B, for example, might be difficult. And even then, I don't think characters like Velouche and Howlet, well, especially Howlet, he doesn't even have an EX yet, will have a really good time against Summer Elsi. So yeah, I think that Summer Elsi is really good, but maybe not necessarily on a mono element team. Mono element team is essentially where you want to focus for her with, in terms of maybe like doing, you know, if it was like Porcelain Tower or Guild War Battle or something like that, the PvE one essentially. That's where you're going to be wanting to put her on a mono element team. And there are enough water elemental mages and vision cards that, you know, that's going to be great for the water magic element. She'll fit right in there. But in terms of PvP and whatnot, I think that this character has real potential, provided that you're not tunneling in on mono element or anything like that. If you mix and match a little bit, if maybe you throw in Rule as well with her, maybe it's just a really big problem. In Global, I know you don't have Oberon, so try her with Summer's Azin. I'm sure somebody will, but she's around for a while, so I'm sure that somebody will eventually build Global and test it out, because I had terrible luck today trying to get her, and that's how you end in a video. So anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this unit, and going forward, we'll see what happens with her and the meta. See you next time.